it said somebody canceled it. I have no idea why somebody would have canceled it, but they did. Anyways, thank you for your patience. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and again, you're listening to the Angel Rock. This is UFO Paranormal United Public Radio Network. You can listen to us on 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast and Mississippi, and 107.7 in the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. We are actually streaming to you from New Orleans. I'm sorry about the audio, guys. We tried to fix this. Believe me, that's what the few minutes was. I don't know what it is. Ghost in the machine, we'll call it, because both of us popped in, popped out, tried a bunch of stuff. So hopefully it'll settle down. I want to thank Carnation. Carnation is a global brand, and they are responsible for all the wonderful programming here on Mondays on UPRN. They sponsor all of the shows. It's known as Carnation Monday. So wherever you are in the world, if you're listening and you happen to see a Carnation brand, please don't hesitate to support them, because they support us and bring all this wonderful programming here. Now, a little bit about myself. Again, I'm going to say it again since we had to change a few things around. I'm Lorilei Potvin. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor, as well as registered nurse. I'm also an animal communicator, working on it. My mentor is with us this evening. I'm also well-versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler, and I've studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years. I'm also extremely well-versed in the paranormal. I always say, didn't go looking for it, it found me. And we've shared our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor. It's season 4, episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. It's on YouTube. It's all over the place. Wherever you can find Paranormal Survivor, you're going to see a familiar face on there. I did not know her at the time. We didn't get to speak to anybody except the people that filmed the episode. And they had professionals who consulted on our story. And the person you will see there is Michelle DeRoche, who is also on our network. She has Beyond, the Outer Realm on Tuesdays here from 2 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Michelle and I actually did an awesome show. It was so much fun, but all the conspiracy and crazy things behind celebrity and musicians that are supposedly no longer with us. And I'm going to let you guys in on a little hint. We've already planned for part 2 of that in January. And I know we're really going to dig into the Paul McCartney story, as well as add one more story in there. She also has the Outer Realm on Wednesdays and Thursday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you guys like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family. There really is something for everybody on this network. It's not all just UFO and paranormal. We have all different kinds of programming, and we're always adding new hosts and new shows. So keep your eyes open for that. Excuse me. This network's been around for 25 plus years. And it does broadcast to every country in the world. But 80 to 85% of our audience is audio only. And I always say, if you can't see us, you can't join the conversation. That is coming. Our website, uprntalkradio.com, is getting a facelift. I hear people were in a big dilemma about this a couple of weeks ago. We're recharging for our chat room. As far as I know, no, it's not being charged. It's free. It's to encourage all of us to be able to chat with one another. So that's supposed to be coming with the chat room. And I hear potentially even let's hope my battery's plugged in here. My computer is not playing. That's what that was there. We were having fun. I'm telling you, it just went dull on me, and I'm going, why is my computer going dull on me? Because the didn't plug in. We're just going to have one of those shows tonight. And now I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, merch store is supposed to be coming supposedly too with the new website. So watch for that. Also, I'm getting comments. People message me whenever I go live. Like always, never fails. What else do I want to tell you guys? I think I told you everything. Well, 2 things. First of all, if you don't see us, like I said, you can't join the conversation. We would love to have you join us. So I'm going to rattle them off really quickly. Under Lorilei Potvin, you can go to my Facebook profile. You can go to LinkedIn. You can go to YouTube. It's the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. We are also on Instagram under the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. Yep, good. Just checking that. That's behind for some reason, but it'll get caught up. You can also see us on our main YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook profile. and Twitch under UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. And I am borrowing the owner of our network. We are broadcasting out of his beautiful home out of New Orleans, Louisiana, to Joe Montaldo. So I'm using his Rumble under Jojo Mon. Lastly, if you'd like to watch us on TV, you can. The network does have a TV channel, and it's on Roku. So you're going to go to the channel store, and you're going to type in the search bar UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a drop-down list. We're about the third or fourth one down, and you're looking for UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio, and that's how you can find us. Now, I'm just looking for my wonderful guests and good friends bio. I know it off by heart, but I don't want to miss anything. Hang on here, Julie. It's eventually going to work for me. Nothing does work here. Never mind. I'm just going to do it off the top of my head. You guys probably all know her in the chat room. She's a regular on the Angel Rock. It's Julie Jeanne Bassett. She's an incredible animal communicator. She's got a new beginner animal communication course coming up in December, which I'm sure we'll talk about. She's helped me with many of my animals, I can tell you, as well as I know with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, which I should also mention. Carrie Lynn Shellhorn and I have a show together. Carrie Lynn has her own show here on UPRN on Fridays, Spirit Switchboard, 6 p.m. But at 7 p.m. on Thursdays, Eastern Standard Time, we have Beneath the Hollow Moon. But Carrie Lynn has had Julie work with her animals. And I'm telling you, if you have an animal or a pet that is driving you crazy, because sometimes our fur babies do, even without fur, and it's like, if this animal doesn't stop this, I don't know what else I'm going to do. Julie's your lady. I'm telling you, the healing knowledge she has, the incredible things she can do, including she's a phenomenal shamanic practitioner. I have had a session with Julie over a year ago. It was life-changing. So welcome, Julie. Did I forget anything?
I think you hit everything that's needed to be said. Thank
I don't
you.
even know how I'm talking, because I was like doing 20 things at once while I'm talking. So you guys, if I was rambling, I'm sorry. That's just the way life is tonight. It's just going to be like that. That's what happens when you get a live show, right? I'm going to say hi to everybody. Let's say hi. We'll start there. We'll start at the top here. So we got Z-Sun Dragon, which is Kevin. I was calling by his muggle name. He's here. We got Astrolight Paranormal, which is a Victorian family. She says hi, Lorilei and Julie Jeanne. And I know in the new year, we're going to be having Astrolight Paranormal on the Angel Rock. I cannot wait. Let's see, everybody just saying hi to one another. Everybody's checking. We got I don't know why, for the love of God, why our YouTube channel, it was coming up for me because I produce my own show. It was saying the event had been canceled. I don't know how it had been. I booked it earlier today. But for whatever reason, yeah, I'm not seeing anybody on Facebook here. So if you guys are on Facebook and you're saying hello, I apologize. Facebook comments are not showing up. So I may even pull up my phone because nothing is showing up on Facebook. So if you guys are there on Facebook, please head over to YouTube. You can go to the Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin or UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network on YouTube, and we will see you, because that's all I'm seeing. Hi, Fat Girl 84. Yeah, because I'm not seeing anything. Oh, we've got Constance Victoria Briggs is joining us over on Instagram. She's been on the Angel Rock many times, so thank you. We're just going to have one of these nights tonight, I guess, Julie, because like I can't see anybody on Facebook here. Can you? I know you can't see the comments, but
I'm not on Facebook. I tried doing the YouTube on my iPad, and it's like it's scrolling. It's
weird. I'm going to check it, showing us live.
Seeing comments.
Yeah, not seeing anything on that. Well, we'll see. Oh, we got somebody on Facebook. Thank you, Jody Cross. She's joining us from the future. I know she's over in Australia, and it's early Tuesday morning over there. So thank you for joining us. We're love to have you. So, Julie, as we always do with our shows, we said, let's just spirit take the wheel here. Well, I usually do that before every show. I always say to spirit before I do a show, okay, where are we going with this? And I'm open to spirit guiding the conversation, as I know you are, but I do that with every conversation because spirit knows who's going to be watching live and listening live and who's going to watch the replay. So let's let's talk a little bit about your animal communication, because there are going to be people that may not have seen you before or don't know anything about it. What got you started in it, just quickly? Because I know we've talked about this before, but
Well, it started with my connection with animals from when I was very young. I had a dog that was more like a sister to me. Uh, my mom was always into the animals, and she was a big lover of animals. And but you know, when you're a child and under a strict Catholic family,
mm-hmm.
I basically shut it off, and it didn't come back to me until after I had back surgery. 2 weeks afterwards, I had a pulmonary embolism where I nearly died, and I didn't want to go back to working for corporate anymore. So I started taking classes, and one of those was an animal communication class that also taught the healing piece of it. And you know, it's kind of like it started coming back to me. So that's
and that's how you kind of ended up where you are here. But the interesting thing, and we got Julia Evans joining us. She's over in the UK. So thank you, Julia, for being up late tonight to join us. We appreciate that. And you guys, as you're filing in here, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us all out. And the more, the merrier, as I always say. Because like I took your beginner animal communication course. And how I found you is through a mutual friend, Leanne Clark. And you guys, she's incredible. I call her the Crystal Wizardress, but she's known as the Crystal Architect on Instagram and Facebook. And I asked her, because I was having problems with my now deceased son's kitty, was urinating on his bed. And I said, do you know any really good animal communicators? And she gave me a couple names. And I went, you, meaning you. And have gotten to know you and become friends with you. And I could not understand why my boys have always been able to communicate with animals ever since they've been able to speak. And I kept thinking, why can I communicate with spirit? Why can I do mediumship, but I can't communicate with animals? But I have been told always by people that said they could communicate that animals only ever speak to you in pictures. That's the only way they speak to you. And then I took your course and I went, oh my goodness, I can do this. I've always been able to do this, because no, animals just don't communicate with pictures, do they?
no. Any way you can get psychic information, they can send it to you. They often will send pictures, and you can send them pictures. But sometimes you just know. Sometimes you hear their voice. I have animals singing to me all the time. So you can get information from an animal in any way that you receive psychic information.
And I have to agree with you. And I've taken many courses with many different mentors and teachers and what have you. And, you know, I've always heard as above, so below. You got to raise your vibration, mind, body, soul. But the one thing that I've never really had a mentor teach me, I had learned it before I connected with you. And what it is, and I believe everybody has the ability to communicate with the other side. And what this is, right? Like as we get older, we get told you're getting too old for that. There's no such thing. It's your imagination, whatever it may be. And you can get back in touch with it. But where I have to even remind myself, especially with animals too, because it's like in the beginning, it's like going back to the beginning, is to check in with all your senses. So, and where that became very relevant to me when I took your beginner animal communication course. I remember it was your stepmom's service dog, and I did not know that. But I remember sitting there and connecting. So I was being open to receiving anything within the mind's eye space in the way of a picture. But I also checked in. What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I feel? What do I just feel like I know? And then what do I taste? And he was was it Doc was his name?
It was Doc, yes.
Doc sent me the taste of the medication, sent me about the front. It was one of his front. I forget what arm type paw it was, but it was every one of those senses. He sent me something. And then when you told me who it was, I was so, because I knew of him, but I didn't know what he was like. And that was a really good reminder for me that I still try to remember that when I'm connecting with spirit, when I'm working with clients, right? What are all those senses? Because I think spirit always does that. It uses all of our senses, don't you?
Yeah, we're just sometimes we don't pick up on something because we haven't practiced with that one sense enough, or we don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to hear spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes spirit will send you a song and you're expecting a voice in your head. It's because of our limiting beliefs on what a clairaudience episode is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, because I always thought when I was young that hearing spirit was clairaudience.
Right.
And yeah, that's part of it, but there's so many other aspects of it.
There is, definitely there is. And before we go any further, I do want to say hi. I see Sean Ellis popping in. I was on his podcast two Sundays ago. It's a paranormal ex Wolf Pack, and he's going to be our guest on the Angel Rock next week, you guys. So don't miss him for sure. He's going to talk all about his paranormal and type things. So I see he's popping in, so I wanted to say hello. No, and that's just it, right? And I know you've commented in the chat when you're here because you always pop in, and I really appreciate that to the Angel Rock and the shows I've done. And I think it's our birthright to be able to communicate with animals. What's your thought on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And when we're kids, a lot of times we do.
Mhm.
We're just because of religious dogma or it's just in your imagination, we shut it off.
Well,
And
my son Justin, who had severe autism, and for people that may not know, I mentioned him, throughout the shows. He had passed away January 15th unexpectedly. I have never ever forgotten what he said to me when he first started speaking, and he said, "Mummy, I have superpowers." And I said, "Oh, wow, Jesse, what are your superpowers?" And he said, "First of all, my autism." And he gave me a look like, duh. He didn't know what that meant, but he gave me kind of that look like, how could you not know? And I said, "Oh, honey, what's your other superpower?" He said, "I always know what the animals are thinking." And I've never forgotten that because, even him being verbally limited, and he would know. Like he really, really would know. And same as my youngest son or oldest son. I remember him being 3.5, telling me, we had four, I think we had four at that time, four little dogs. And he'd always be able to tell me, well, this one wants this and this and this and this, right? Like it was just second nature to my boys. And I think that lots of people, like the other thing I also think, and you guys can look this up, I challenge you to look up videos or reels of little ones and seeing spirit, or say going to a graveyard and with their parents, maybe to pay respects, and they don't know who the loved one is, and you'll see them waving or saying hi grandma or whatever. So I think young children also can see spirit too. What do you think?
I believe so. And the other thing is with children, they're more present. They're always more present. They don't worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. Adults do that, but children are more present. They're in their um, they're curious. They're happy. They're playing. They don't they aren't full of all these fears and limiting beliefs and um, worrying about tomorrow, worrying about what you did in the past. None of that. They're just there. They're just present. They are just living their life.
Mm-hmm.
And they vibrate so much higher because they are um, that innocence.
Mm-hmm. I always say that animals, I believe all animals and children can see spirit. That's one of the questions I ask people if I'm helping them with the paranormal. So I have a questionnaire, and that's one of, usually I don't ask right away, but it's one of my top questions I ask. Do you have animals and or pets or young children? And if so, what are they doing? What are they telling you? What are you seeing? Because beyond a shadow of a doubt, always, if there's somebody with some paranormal activity and they have young children and pets or vice versa, they're going to be seeing something with them. And I say, because I believe that children's work is play. They live in the now, and so do
Yeah.
animals. Animals live in the now.
Yeah.
Oh, we got all kinds of people here. Let's stop just for a second and say hi. We got Heidi Gall here. She says, sad face. I watch it in slow-mo. I don't know what they're talking about. Something shattered here. We got Benno from Oz, 1975. Oh, that's it. She said, oh, sorry, I got to go back. She said, hi, Heidi Gall. Hi, Lorilei and Julie. Much love from Shoulder. I'm sorry. I broke one of my big spice jars. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. We've had some fun going live anyways. It must just be one of those nights. We've also got Contessa Martins here saying hello to us and everyone else. Let's see. Michelle Wilfong's here too. So I wanted to stop and say hi to everybody. And then she said, oh, wow, I'm glitchy. Sorry for the double comment. It's not your fault, Heidi. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on tonight. We tried to fix the audio. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's some weird glitchiness going on in the background. We've tried everything that we could. That's why we were 5 minutes late. Nothing was fixing it. And then they changed all kinds of things again on StreamYard. It's crazy. So, like I was saying when I took that little break there for a sec, I think that that's why children can see spirit and communicate with animals. And I think animals can see spirit as well. So, with that being said, right, I believe that with like how you sort of shared your story, how you tap back into your abilities, it's kind of like riding the proverbial bike. Like maybe we knew how to ride a bike as a very young child, haven't been on a bike in years. Now you're going to be a bit shaky, probably need some practice, work on those muscles, but you could learn to re-ride a bike. It wouldn't be too difficult, I would think. What's your thoughts on that?
I did it myself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, I took this class. I started remembering. The one thing I liked about this mentor I had is she taught the healing aspect of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it started coming back to me, and I just practiced and practiced. And, you know, with practice, you get better and better. And so I just practiced whenever I could. And it made a difference.
Actually, Spirit brought this up to me earlier, and I thought we're going to bring it up if you're okay with it. And I'm not going to throw anything shocking at you. I'd never do that. But not that I have anything shocking to throw at you. But I have had this problem with this black bear. And this black bear has been around our neighborhood for over a month now. It is massive. It is now about 450 to 500 pounds. Just before Halloween, I was talking to my partner Dell on the front steps. We were outside. It was about 10 to 10 at night Eastern. It's dark, and Dell's looking at me, and I'm talking to him. Our heads are kind of turned talking. And we're on the front steps, and out of the corner of my eye, and there's no lights out, except for street lights, I see this giant black thing. And I said it on the show, and that's all I've heard all week from people from comments. But it was like it was walking this way, kind of like do 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 do. Like he wasn't going slow, but he wasn't going fast. And I went, oh my God, bear. And I ran and booked it in the house and shut the door. And so Dell was teasing me. He goes, that was nice of you to close the door on me on the bear. And I said, first of all, I know you always have a reason for why you do things. You could have been right behind me, because if I really meant you harm, Dell, I would have locked the door. And then he's had a lot of experience with wild animals, having worked in the bush before. So I'm out in the backyard, like on the weekend, and my dog, my German Shepherd Emmy, is out there, and I've got headphones on. I forget why. I think I was listening to music and I didn't want the neighborhood to hear it. And it was like 2 a.m, and I can tell from my dog by the bark. I can tell there's something weird. Normally my dog will bark once or twice and then she'll stop as soon as I ask her. She would not stop, and she kept running to our fence and running back at me, running to the fence. So I stand up. Who's at our fence? Massive, big black bear. So I open our door, sliding glass door. I go, Dell, grab your flashlight, like, because he has a massive flashlight. The bear's there. It was gone by the time you get out there. Then last night, I think it was last night or the night before, we're outside 5 to 7 at night. It's getting dark, and we have First Nations neighbors across the street, and I can hear them yelling, and I notice that Dell is paying attention to them, and all of a sudden, right by his truck, I see this nose. This bear is barreling at us, and Dell goes, "Hey!" and it runs and turns, right? That freaked him out. I wasn't freaked out for some reason. Then he goes, "Oh, I was trying to figure out what they were saying in Ojibwe." He goes, "I realized, but it was too late. They were saying, 'Bear, go away.'" So I have been trying to communicate with this bear, and I'm getting some stubbornness a little bit with this bear. So I thought I would run it by you. Since we are talking about animals tonight, we're talking about communication. And the bear is not understanding, and rightfully so, why it's not safe for it to be here. And I'm trying to explain that it could hurt it, and people are talking about taking matters into their own hands. And we don't want that at our home. And I just would like for the bear to be safe and live in a safe location and away from humans. But it's got any kind of food it needs. It needs to store up energy and food and weight for the hibernation it will be embarking on very soon. And I don't know, what's your thoughts on that? Have you got any thoughts? And people listening to this may think this is crazy. We can communicate with animals, can't we, Julie?
Yes.
Anybody can, but how would you handle that with this bear? I'd love to hear it.
Well, first of all, I would connect in and, introduce myself.
I did.
Um, and just
Ask
get
if
his
you would be
perspective
open
on
to
things.
speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to connect in right now. I get the sense that he means no harm. It's like
he doesn't. He doesn't, because you know what, Julie? He could have killed us many times because they run 55 miles an hour, and not what he could have just walked right up and he's not hurt anybody. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Mm-hmm.
No, and it's like his food supply is gone, and so where he normally gets food, either there's development or the chemicals have killed his normal food source. And so he's hungry, he's desperate, he doesn't mean any harm. He's getting food where he can, because it is about time for him to start hibernating.
The blueberry crop did not come in this year. And the bear, because I'm seeing Kevin, Sun Dragon, saying, I wonder where it came from in the woods, no doubt, but I don't know why it's there in the first place. Okay, so Julie is very much correct. The blueberries did not come in our area this year. And that's a main food source for bears in our area. Now, where I live, I am not in the country, but in Thunder Bay, it's kind of a very unique city where you have patches of forest, you will say, if you will. And there's a school behind me. There's a forest way off like he's come a ways away. Okay, he has. So that's why he's there. Yeah, Kevin's saying I got a flash of chemical spill and fire. No fire. But Julie's right. He is hungry. He needs to put weight on to hibernate. Go ahead, Julie. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking, remember that cub that you saw?
Yeah.
There was like a preserve that it had come from.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried telling this bear to go to that preserve?
I'm on the opposite side of the city. I'm on the north side. My son was on the south side of the
Okay.
city. And I know where that bear came from. I could see exactly where he came from. And it was a wildlife preserve. He's nowhere near a wildlife preserve here. And what my concern is, like I say, people talk, obviously, and where people are getting concerned because this bear, now we know this and it's not his fault, but when bears wake up from hibernating, they are ravenous because they haven't eaten in months. Like that's why he's putting the weight on. I know, because he needs to put the weight on to survive the winter.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, is there a way that you can have someone come and relocate them?
They
Maybe somebody from
won't.
the preserve?
They won't. That's what's so frustrating. Why I said people, I've heard rumors of people wanting to take matters into their own hands. And it's like, I don't want anything to happen to this bear because it's not his fault. And what I'm getting from him is and to him, he's hungry. Yes, he is hungry. And I know he doesn't know what a king is, but it's the energy of I'm eating like a king right now, right? I just go, I know I have to push the cans over and there's food there and I'm able to eat. He hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't.
Right.
Hmm.
And he doesn't intend on hurting anybody?
I don't think he could have hurt us, Julie. Honestly, when he came around, my heart was beating for about an hour that night. And actually, Dell said when it came around the truck, it freaked him out. It didn't freak me out, but it freaked him out because it came out of nowhere and it was running so fast. All he said was, "Hey," and he just stopped and he knows his way around. Like it's not the problem. And people have been getting off the bus running into him, but it's a big bear, right? So people are afraid because he could have hurt us. Like if he had run, we're in a townhouse and there's a walkway. He came around. If I hadn't noticed him in the next 2 seconds, he would have been right on top of us. But he wasn't running. If he had ran around that corner, I wouldn't even have seen him. That's how fast he would have been. So I don't think he wants to hurt anybody either.
No, he doesn't.
Hmm. But I don't know what to tell them or what to share. So anybody's got any ideas, like Kevin's adding, he felt he got a flash of chemical spill and fire from where he had resided. That could have been Kevin. And he said, good, you know where he came from. Well, that was a baby bear. Julie and I worked together with one. My son, there was one across the street from my son that lived on the south side of the city. And it was a young bear. Like it was little, like not even a yearling.
That was
So
all you doing that communicating. I was just cheering you on.
okay, but I was concerned about because nobody will come, and I'm in Canada, I'm in Ontario, and they're advertising all over the radio, call this number if you see a black bear, right? And I've lived in this city 60 years. I have never seen anything like this before. And we have a Facebook group for our area. For the past month, that's all the posts have been. People are warning other people, like the bear is out, be careful. And we've been calling and calling and calling. You call the number, and I got somebody that was such a jack ass the last time, and he's giving me all these black bear facts, and I'm going, I know what the facts are. Thank you very much. And I said, are you going to do something? Well, we don't do anything. We just track them and give you facts. And we've called the police. The police won't come. Like nobody will come. So what do you do, right? Mm-hmm.
Is there um, like a wildlife rehab?
Nope, nothing. We used to have like a wildlife type zoo, if you will, for animals that were injured way out of the city. That's closed down. There's nothing. And like I said, I don't even know where to tell them to go because even where I live is in the north end of the city, and you go way up the road and you start getting into some of the bush and stuff, but there's houses all around there, right? So I don't know what and any of you guys got any solutions if you communicate with animals? That's why I brought it up tonight. I also, spirits reminding me, I did look up the spiritual meaning of a black bear as well. because when we see animals frequently, right, sometimes we get that's a message from, I wouldn't say sometimes, I would say it is a message from the other side.
And once you get that message, often they'll go away.
And it didn't help because I thought, that's what I even thought. Like I thought, okay, if I look up
maybe you haven't gotten the right message yet.
Maybe not. It's not just me. So I know, like, maybe the whole neighborhood needs it. I don't know, because every neighbor, like, we're all friendly with one another. Every one of the neighbors has had a run-in. Like the night that the bear was in the backyard, he had knocked over our next door neighbor's garbage can. So my partner Del went and let him know, like, you may want to clean up your garbage. And yeah. So I don't know what to do. I'm putting it out there, you guys, because you know what? We can all communicate with animals. If you guys have even got some ideas or things that we can, like, because I don't know what to send them to tell them where to go, because that's the energy I'm getting from him is and again, he wouldn't know what a king is, but like, I eat like a king, right? I'm hungry. So I can go, and it's kind of like going through the drive-through, if you will. And it is because he knows.
He's eating very well, and he's appreciative of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And he knows, like, he can't turn our garbage cans over the way they're set up, but he knows and he doesn't go to the same garbage can every night, which is very polite of him. I'm sorry, but it is. But he knows how to turn them over, right? So, like, I'm getting very kind energy, not like I'm going to run up and pet him kind of energy. But the fact is, it's an animal normally where the food is will keep going back. This bear actually rotates. Like, he goes to different houses every night.
Making the rounds.
That I said, it's kind of like a drive-through, right? And he's never hurt people. Like, he's out there, and that's the only way the police will come is if somebody gets hurt. But my point of bringing this whole thing up is there's so many people out there that think that animals. I've even heard that people think animals don't have souls, animals don't have thoughts, animals don't have personalities. And that's why I brought this up too, just to let people know there's many reasons why we have animals in our lives. There's sometimes a spiritual message, sometimes it's a reminder of our animal guides or totems. There's many other things. What do you think, Julie?
Oh, most definitely. There's so many reasons why an animal is in our life. And it could just be that, we're all one. The Native Americans believe that animals are our brothers and sisters, no better or worse than us. And some Native Americans also believe that humans are the parasites on Mother Earth.
I agree.
And, sometimes animals show up so that we feel compassion. And it's, in some respects, it's bringing your community together. It's bringing some form of unity to your neighborhood because of this bear.
That's true. That's true, because even the people, one of the neighbors across the street, none of us have really, they just kind of keep to themselves. And Dell ended up having a conversation with them because of the bear. So you're right, it brings people together. Now, Kevin, you asked, do you think with social media, these people who normally pick them up are afraid of what might get posted about them? No. It would be the Ministry of Natural Resources, or MNR. And they're the ones that would come and relocate an animal. And no. But what I am finding is a lot of people, I had shared originally when we'd seen the bear, and there was a lot of smart aleck comments underneath it. So I'm noticing a lot of people are just choosing the anonymous post, like to make an anonymous post, because most people, I think, are of the same mind. Just be aware it's out there and it's in this area, because people are out walking their dogs, or 7 o'clock, you could have a child out in a stroller still at that time, right? And then Kevin's adding, he is smart to keep moving, thinking that he has less chance of getting in trouble or caught. It could be, but it almost seems like he's being, and I know people are going to think I'm nuts, but in a way, almost thoughtful, like instead of keeps knocking over the same people's garbage, right? He kind of rotates. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's kind of the energy I'm getting from him. Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing is he's already been in that one garbage can, so
Oh,
he's
he goes
looking
back, Julie. He goes back.
right, but after a while.
After a while, yeah.
Because that way it gives the people the time to fill it up again.
Fill it up and clean it up. And
Mm-hmm.
You know what I wanted to ask you about? I'm going to do our station ID. It's already been an hour. It always goes by so quick. But we have not talked a lot about your shamanic practitioner part that you do. And I think that's important. So, you guys, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Angel Rock and UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. And this lovely guest of mine and good friend is Julie Jeanne Bassett, animal communicator, animal teaching and communication with animals, as well as an incredible shamanic practitioner. And you can listen to us 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in the beautiful city of New Orleans. And just remember, it's not all just UFO and paranormal. We're always adding new shows, new hosts. We stream multiple shows daily, 7 days a week live. When we're not streaming live, the archive server kicks in. So we actually are live 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. And I'll let you know a little hint. I was just touching base with my co-host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She is the host of a Spirit Switchboard, and we do Beneath the Hollow Moon. And she just let me know that Christmas Day is the Thursday when we do our show, as is New Year's Day. And we both said, guess what? We're planning on doing live shows those night, you guys. So if you've got nothing to do that night, or you're hanging about after your turkey dinner, I hope you'll join us, because we're gonna go live that night. So anyways, let's talk about your shamanic practice, because I love talking about animals. We all do, but a lot of people may not, and I've run into a lot of people, and I always say it's not my job to judge, but a lot of people will say, well, I'm a shaman, or I follow the ways of the shaman. And what is a shaman? And talk about your work that you do. And I know you're still always taking courses and working with different mentors. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't consider myself a true shaman. Mm-hmm. I'm a shamanic energy practitioner because I've studied with shamans, but I have not. The indigenous people all have different names for shamans. Mm-hmm. They have a Paco, they have a medicine carrier.
Oh, did we lose Julie there for
like
a sec?
A mesa carrier?
We lost you for a sec, Julie.
Medicine woman, medicine man. Mm-hmm. All different names for what's termed a shaman. Mm-hmm. But what a shaman is it is somebody that has been elected by an indigenous community, that is part of that community, that mm-hmm. provides healing to the members of that community.
Okay. Sorry, we lost you for a sec there, Julie, but you're back.
Yeah, somebody tried to call me.
And that's okay.
I didn't realize I had to push the button to get back in.
Don't worry about it. People always message me when I'm live for some reason, right? That's when people want to call you. We must be putting our energy out there.
I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the work that you do. Like, why would somebody come to see you for a shamanic energy healing practice? Because you've told me stuff even off air, some of the incredible things that you've done, when you were taking your course. I know you've worked under Alberto Villoldo and his team. So I'm practicing the energy healing techniques of the shamans in Chile, Peru, and the Andes Mountains. I also work with Joan Wilcox, mm-hmm. Who's specifically the Andes Mountains, the Caro.
So, yeah. And, I've taken courses from Sandra Ingerman. So I have, what I like to do is I like to learn all the different healing techniques. And then as I'm practicing, I have all these techniques at my disposal that I can use. Because when I'm doing a healing session, I'm often told to do this technique or this other technique. And so I'm kind of combining techniques as I go along. And it's good for relieving pains in the body. Someone reported that their blood pressure had gone down afterwards, and they had their doctor repeat it like 3 times just to make sure, because they had always had high blood pressure. Now, I'm not a doctor. I cannot guarantee that on everybody. But I can release fears. I can release limiting beliefs, stuck emotions, and I can also release trauma.
You're reading my mind. So let's talk a little bit about that with trauma, because, a lot of people have had a lot of trauma, especially as children. And, what a lot of people don't recognize is a lot of the problems sometimes we have as adults can sometimes relate back to unhealed traumas, and they may not even seem like they even connect, right? Like illnesses, not being able to manifest abundance. I could go on and on and on. And is there anything you'd like to add to that? Because a lot of people don't realize that, right? And it's not about
Sometimes they're ancestral.
sorry.
Sometimes it's ancestral or past lives where we're continuing to try and heal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking another course right now to become a medical intuitive.
Okay.
And we've been doing a lot of finding out where in the body the belief lives, where, and I'm getting ready to take the advanced course, but where in the body the belief lives, whether it's from past lives, whether it's ancestral, whether it's from the maternal line or the paternal line. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is either from a past life or ancestral. And we're the generation that we're trying to heal our ancestral lines and stop future generations from having to suffer the same way we've suffered.
I love that, because I do medical intuition. I don't do what you now. I'm thinking, holy cow, now I want to take that course, because and my oldest kid will sometimes, especially when he's younger, he'd call me and say, Mom, can you scan me? Can you scan me? Right? Because you'll see, it'll show up either as a feeling or a color, or it's hard to kind of put into words, but you'll be able to feel where it is kind of in the body, right? If somebody's unwell or they're starting to get sick or whatever that may be. But you're really fascinating me, because that word ancestor has come up so much in the past year for me. Because, one of the most profound things I heard one time on a podcast a few months ago was, we can actually be some of our ancestors, right? Born back from that ancestral line and reliving it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of that.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. In fact, getting back to animals, animals amaze me, because this one animal was my client's grandmother in a previous life, or great grandmother.
No way, really?
And I didn't know that they could cross like that, but yeah. And like I said, doing this work, I am astonished, in awe. Every time I talk to an animal, every time I do a healing, it just amazes me on how powerful this energy medicine is.
It is. And you know where I learned that? Because I've had, I started rediscovering my gifts later in life. They've always been with me. They've always been around us. And you go back in life and you realize, right, holy cow, like that's what that was when it happened, or so on and so forth. And so my kids, I always say, I had two boys, and I say they grew up with the woo woo. No, of course I never crammed it down their throats, but when your mother's doing these sort of things, you kind of learn those ways. And I remember my eldest was about 14, and we had kids at our house all the time, or he'd be going to other kids' houses, and he didn't tell me this till he came home later that night. And he had gone to a friend of his house, and there was about 6 or 7 of them. And the mom, at that time I didn't realize, was a past life regressionist, I think, type energy healer. And I guess she had asked the kids if they wanted to have kind of like a past life meditation, and then
Mhm.
sort of share what you experience with the meditation. And my son came home and he was so excited because he was telling me about his life as a wolf, a black wolf. And he had been the alpha, and told me that he had a partner, the female, that was like, it was such an incredible detailed story. And I just listened in awe and open minded, because I'd always been told at that time in my part of my educational journey that there's no way that you can come back from being an animal to a human, or vice versa, or anything like that. And so to me, when he shared that story with me, I went, why not? If we're all connected and we are having these experiences to help grow and evolve our souls, including being parts of other people's lives to help them grow and evolve with their life, for whatever they're here, there is no limits on the other side. So who's to say that you can't come back as an animal? And then one life have a life as a human, and so on and so forth, right?
I had a life as a tree one time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, anything is possible.
Hi, Kirby's 100 and Astrolight Paranormal Victoria says, I've had a past life reading with Julie. It was amazing. So that's nice to hear, and thank you for sharing that. But that's the thing, right? And where I learned about this was, I was still in my old home, and this was years ago, and when the paranormal activity started. And I remember, I don't even know how this guy showed up, but he was a dentist, and he started looking into hypnosis for anesthesia during dental work, and started recognizing when people were under hypnosis and the things they were telling him, and started to get into a practice of it. I forget what the guy's name is. He's not a big name in the past life regression community. But anyways, I remember listening to him, and there was a phone number. I looked up his website, and I was just going to leave a message because I was looking at everything to get help in my home before. Do you know that guy called me? He called me. It was like at midnight. I felt so bad because he said it was his office phone number. Called me, talked to me about it, the whole bit. But where I'm going with this, I remember him talking about this, as well as Dolores Cannon too, in some of her books, of people talking about being there at the creation of when Earth was created, like actually being a molecule, being part of the wind, being part of all these things. And
And
to
I'm
me,
getting chills with that right now.
sorry?
I'm getting chills, full body chills when you're talking about that.
Because you know why, right? Like, and I've always been told these rules by other humans, right? Like, even for example, the paranormal experience, and I'm not going to get into it, but the name I had been given, and it had been spelt for me by whatever this thing was in my dream. I have had people tell me, there's no way they don't tell you that. Well, how do you know? Just because you've been told that. I'm not lying about my experience. And to me, I've always heard angels are not human. Angels have never had a human experience. I have met someone that claims they were a human. I had this was on my previous network. Two people that have had very strange, weird experiences. I knew both of them. They were describing buildings in heaven. Like, I wish I had a copy of those shows. I wish to God I did. Or the fact that once you evolve into the human level, you can't go back into being an animal, and vice versa. Well, why can't you? You were limitless on the other side. So,
Exactly.
right? Does it not make sense?
we're the ones that put limits on everything.
Yes, yes. So, like you said, you had a life as a tree. Were you able to go back with that, like, with this shamanic energy healing, or how did you find that out, Julie?
It was somebody. I think it was when I had taken an Akashic record course.
Okay.
And had a reading with the person that was teaching the course. That
Okay.
she let me know that I was a tree at one point.
And why couldn't you be, is where I'm going with this, because, right, it's about learning and growing and evolving our souls. And whatever you wish to accomplish, right, in that particular lifetime, why couldn't it happen? But going back to talking about the shamanic energy healing, so you said this generation is a generation that is hoping to do the healing through the ancestral line so that future generations, if I heard you correctly, don't have to go through the suffering and the things that we have gone through. So what does that look like? Like, how do you find these things out for people thinking, how do you even possibly do that? I believe you and I know about this stuff, but for people listening.
Well, like there's so many ways I can go right now with this.
What about alcoholism, for example? I've talked about this. It runs on my mother's family, like generation upon generation upon generation upon generation, unless you want to go in a different direction. I'm just giving you a for instance, or
Well, for instance, if there's energetic cords tied to that family line that has the alcoholism, you can cut that. In this medical intuitive course I'm taking, there's these powerful scripts where you do like you read the script and it takes you down this staircase and to like an ancestral chamber where you see all these cords wrapped around you and are wrapped around your ancestors, and then you see divine white light coming in and getting rid of those cords, and there's a dialogue that happens between you and your ancestors saying that you know that this line ends with me, this pain ends with me, and these scripts are very powerful.
I've actually said that for so many things that I know ancestrally in my own line without doing this is just fascinating me. But I've actually said, like, even as a young child, this ends with me. This stops with me. Like all of the things on both of my parents' lines, like, and it, of course, I didn't use those powerful, strong words, but I remember saying something to that effect as a child. Like, even to the effect I said, when I have children, never, ever, ever, ever will my children ever be treated in ways that and I'm not getting into victim mode here, but what I'm saying is I just seen this and I just remember so clearly saying this as a child. It stops with me. Like I don't drink alcohol. I don't, like, I've just, no, it doesn't, it stopped. I don't know. Maybe that came from spirit. I don't know. But even abuse and the other things that have happened, right? And I remember saying that as a child. So that's powerful with the course that you're taking. I can't even begin to imagine how many people you can help with
Well,
even just practice.
and I'm looking at more of being able to be a better shaman and a better animal communicator and healer, because if I can scan the body better, I can focus my attention on what needs to be healing.
Well, I know, like, I'm coming down with a cold now, and I was trying to fight it off a couple of weeks ago, and you sent me healing, and I noticed by that night I was feeling better, and you told me exactly where you found it, and I could feel it moving into my chest. So you've always been a powerful healer, but holy cow, what you did, I can vouch for you for that too. Like, I really, really felt a difference. Definitely. So I can see that definitely, definitely helping. So many people. But what I want to ask you about, because there's a lot of controversy about this, and no judgment either way, but what about familial curses? Do you run into that? Have you heard about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I'm not, I really don't believe in curses,
Okay,
because if you believe in a curse, it makes it real.
I agree.
But Alberto Velodo, my, one of my shaman teachers, told about going to, I guess, Jamaica or somewhere,
Hmm.
or it might have even been Louisiana or something. I'm not exactly sure where, and talking to a voodoo priest, because he's a anthropologist.
Okay.
And so they said, oh, go down here and get this information from this voodoo priest, and we're going to fund your next trip or whatever. So he said, sure, I'll go. And he didn't believe in the voodoo, but what they were saying is that, he was asking them, how do you send good energy? And they said, everything is your intention. If you want to send good energy, you set that intention, you're going to send good energy. And then he asked, well, how do you send bad energy? You set the intention that you are going to do harm. And so he kind of didn't believe in it. He went home, and all of a sudden he got this um, got really sick, really bad upset tummy, like food poisoning or something like that. And he really hadn't eaten anything. And so they called him and asked how you're feeling. I said, oh, I'm feeling terrible. He said, so now do you believe in voodoo? And
I,
so
mhm.
so it just depends on the intention you set. Is if you intend to do somebody harm,
Mhm.
and you're sending energy medicine, you're going to do that person harm, and not help them heal their bodies and things like that, because everything should be done from a place of love.
I agree, but Julie, this is a fascinating conversation because um, just that example that you gave, right? And I've seen this before. Like I have had something sent to me very, very negative paranormally in this house.
Yeah.
And I talked to 4 friends of mine that didn't know one another, all said it wasn't sent intentionally. This person was very, very angry and did not recognize, I would believe, how powerful they were with their emotions and thoughts about sending something. So
Yeah.
that's why I asked you about whether you want to call it a curse or whatever you want to call it. The other thing I always say is not everybody's running around thinking love and light, right?
Very true. But there
And
are ways to heal that, because often these people have cords attached to you, and you can sever those cords.
mhm.
They can put a feeding tube in you and drain your energy, and you can remove the feeding
Oh,
tube.
let's talk more about that. So feeding tube. What do you mean by a feeding tube?
A feeding tube is generally to a institution, like if you're working somewhere and it's not, um, and it's basically sucking your energy dry. You know, Medtronic was that for me. It basically sucked my energy dry. I was sick a lot of the times when that's when I got all my back problems. And so it's like a huge cord
Okay.
that basically sucks your energy, keeps you from moving forward. Um, Sometimes it's to people.
Hmm.
Um, Often it is associated with one of the chakras.
Okay.
Uh,
One of
Whereas
the lower? One of the lower?
cords are more in a particular organ of the body. So
Interesting.
can often are in the liver.
I was just thinking that it has to be. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
But it could be anywhere. It could be, I've had some coming out of the heart before.
Yeah.
But it also, it's generally to a person, and then it will suck you dry. I've even had cords to past lives and ancestral lines that I've had to clear and basically remove. So
how do you know? Well, actually, before I ask, how do you know? I'm going to say hi. We've got Azria Beckham on Azria Official over on Instagram. Hi, Azria. Nice to see you. She's been on the Angel Rock before, and I believe she's coming on next month, actually. I think we're going to get into some of the alien DNA and things that she does. So I'm looking forward to that. But okay, so people are listening to this, right? And they're going, okay, so how do I even know if I have a cord? And I'm asking you this for people maybe that don't know a lot about this, because the information we're sharing here isn't to create fear. It's right, because knowledge is empowering. So how would someone possibly know that they've got a cord to a past life or to an ancestor? And I know you can't cover everything, just sort of if you can. And I know it's not even easy to be general, but how would somebody maybe have an indication that they have something like this that needs clearing or healing?
Well, that's where the shaman comes in, or the shamanic practitioner.
Okay.
Because we can, what's called tracking. I have a black leopard that helps, or black jaguar that helps me to track when I'm doing healing on a person. And it's one of the things I've been trained to do in that course.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm going to use the scanning as well to see what's there, kind of combining different techniques to make it work for me.
I guess I'm thinking about Joe Blow listening to this, or Jane Blow listening to this, thinking like, because most people aren't going to know to come to a shamanic practitioner. So I guess it's my fault the way I asked it, but say you've got these people walking around and they've got these cords or these feeding tubes or whatever. Are there's, and again, you're not going to be able to pinpoint it, I know, because there could be a million different reasons why, but what might be a reason that people would think, hey, maybe I need to see a shamanic energy practitioner to help me with this? Like, what could be going on in their lives is what I'm saying.
You can have pains in the body that
and
they can't.
No medical reason for them, just you've got severe pain.
No medical reason. You can have limiting beliefs if you have been working and haven't gotten the abundance that you need. Chances are that's something that's coming from an ancestral line or a past life where you have set vows of poverty. So there's no way you are going to become financially abundant because you took this vow of poverty in a previous life, or your ancestors did. And so you are unable to have the abundance that's your birthright. If you have an irrational fear of heights or of spiders or whatever, that could be something that's draining your energy. Or if you are just constantly tired, even no matter how much you sleep, there's something that's draining your energy. It's often a person, it's often a job, or it could be like electrolyte balance in your body. That's another reason why I'm taking this class, is I'm starting to learn how to determine whether you have a vitamin deficiency in your body.
Interesting.
And if there's trauma, often trauma is ancestral. It's going to also prevent you from moving forward. It's going to keep you in this state of fear and lack and, victimhood.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just, a lot of people go to doctors and have tests run, and they can't ever pinpoint a cause.
Right.
That's when that's a good time to look at alternative caregivers, energy workers, aromatherapy, Ayurveda, whatever it is, whatever you're drawn to.
Mm-hmm.
Chinese medicine.
Right.
The shamans have been around for ages and ages, much longer than us Westerners have. And their energy medicine is powerful. Back when, before all the pharmaceuticals and stuff like that, they used plants to heal people.
Absolutely.
All the pharmaceuticals come from plants.
Mm-hmm.
Why not go to the source? And, when we are manipulating these plants and creating these drugs, it's altering the original medicine.
No, I agree with you, and the same reason why homeopathic remedies can work beautifully. I know, for example, when my son was alive, when he was younger and nonverbal, like they eventually with autism, there's a 5-point rating scale, and out of 5, like you're gone basically with the rage. And I know with my son, the medication did not help. All it did was make him gain weight. So I went to a naturopathic doctor with him. I don't know how she came up with it. I still remember the name of it. And I'm not diagnosing, just sharing for interest's sake. It was called tuberculinum. And it was a homeopathic remedy. It's almost like a sugar pill, if you will, but it has the essence of the plant. And I used to have to order it. And I swear, and I come from Western medicine background, being a nurse, but I remember I would give it to him, and within 5 minutes, it would be like from having this balloon about to pop, like the air had slowly just released, and he was calm, he was relaxed, it had all dissipated, and no side effects. I don't know who we're picking up here, you guys, but we got some guy's voice in the background. Can you hear this?
Yeah, I can.
Sorry, dude, if you're listening, you have to leave. I don't know how else to get rid of you. We got some guy in the background. But yeah, and that was just, yeah, like and she figured it out. I don't know how she figured it out, this naturopathic doctor. And I swore up and down, I was never without that stuff. There was one in my purse, one in this bedroom, one at school, one everywhere, because it just works so beautifully and no side effects.
Amazing. And, I'm not dissing doctors, because doctors serve an important role.
Everything
for
has its place.
Acute conditions, if you're hit by a car or a bus, I wouldn't go for an energy medicine treatment. Anything acute, a doctor is good for. But energy medicine is also good for prevention.
Agreed.
And, we treat the root cause versus, because like a doctor can treat the root cause of a fracture. They can fix the fracture and things like that. But with like heart disease and stuff like that, they just treat the symptoms. They don't get down to the root cause of why. They just give you medicines to help control it, but they don't look any farther on what you can do with your diet, because many doctors aren't trained in nutrition when they're in medical school, or have very little of it.
Well, and the other thing is I had a doctor, she's responsible, even though I squirm around and stuff, the back problem's still not gone, but I can sit now. And she was from Pakistan originally, one of the most incredible doctors I've ever had. And we had some of the most fascinating conversations. And like she would ask me a lot of questions even about some of the behaviors she would feel would seem kind of strange, like people being divorced and things like that versus where she had come from. And I'll never forget one of the most interesting conversations we had was she said there was a man over in Turkey and she was following this quite closely. Now, this was quite a few years back. And there was a neurologist, medical neurologist, and I think a cancer, an oncologist. There was quite a few medical people following this man. And they would do an MRI before. And there would be, like, say somebody's body was completely full of tumors. And this man would take his hands and focus energetically and the tumors would be gone and they would do an MRI post to prove this. Like these doctors were trying to figure out what is this man doing to be able to do that. No, I'm not saying everybody can do that, but what I'm saying is this particular individual, whatever his gift was, he was able to do that, including even my friend Augie Nost. You might have been there when Augie was on recently, and he shared this video with me years ago. And there was a woman who had an inoperable cancer tumor in her bladder. And they took a bunch of, I think, Shaolin monks. Please don't quote me on the name, but a bunch of healers and monks from a particular area in China. And they had an ultrasound, and you can see it if you look it up on the ultrasound. This is before AI, long before Photoshop, and they are chanting over and over and over in their dialect in Chinese, "It is healed. It is healed. It is healed." And you see that tumor shrink to nothing within about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Mhm. Mhm.
You know, one of
There's,
the energy healers, Donna Eden,
I
cleared
know Connie is, yeah. Mhm.
cured herself of MS using energy healing techniques.
Donna Eden is incredible. She is healthier now, and I'm not even gonna call her a senior citizen, but that's the age group she's in versus when she was in her 30s, and it's mind-blowing. Mind you, I say that about myself. You know what? I'm way more healthier now at 60 than I ever was when I was in my early 30s. So, and it's not because of something I did to myself. It was health issues that came out of nowhere and no medicine didn't have an answer for it, and I had to seek answers elsewhere and start. This is kind of what opened my mind and looking into other reasons for why illnesses may occur. Well, what do we got going on here now? Facebook is kicking us off, isn't it? Oh, we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. Isn't that nice? Okay, guys, if you're on Facebook, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, you guys, I'm telling you, never fails with
Well, I think we're in Mercury retrograde right now.
oh, are we? Is that what the
Yeah, I
problem
think it
is?
started yesterday.
Oh, well, that would explain things. So, there was something else I was gonna ask you. Um, you guys, I've mentioned to you before, I won't play it tonight. I had asked Julia, but it depended where our conversation was going. You guys have heard me talk about the calm cat whisperer. His name is Donnie. I found out he's Filipino, but his he's part of a vet clinic, but he believes in working with energy with cats. He specializes in quote unquote spicy cats. He doesn't use the plastic bubble on the cats, and he talks actually about energy and taking the spicy energy within and kind of grounding it, if you will. And usually by the end, the cat is so calm. It's utterly amazing. So check him out. He's got a funny video that he put out today, a reel. And the owner, this is the cat's mom's mom saying that her cat turns into a demon when it gets groomed. And so actually Donnie says in the video, hello, my name is Donnie and I am your calm cat exorcist. So if you can, you guys check it out. It's quite funny, but by the end, I won't ruin it for you. Let's just say Donnie works his magic again. But the other thing that I wanted to ask you, Julie, and we're kind of going all over here, but I know we do because you do incredible things. I've been actually watching, and I know you guys, some people may think that it's controversial. I'm not trying to be controversial, but Cesar Millan, because the reason why I've watched him over the years, I've often tried to figure out what does that man do to be able to reach animals that are completely like at a level 100. And he constantly talks about the energy, the energy. And I'm beginning to think, I really believe, I think that man is an animal communicator, but he does not realize it. Like, I don't know. And people don't like if he uses his foot to touch the animal. He's made it very clear he's not out to hurt an animal or anything like that. But my point is, you see him on this, like even lot. Oh, what happened there? Now my screen just went out on me. I don't know what the heck happened, you guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's not plugging in for me, guys. Hang on, my computer now is. I'm telling you, how many weird things have we had happen tonight, Julie? I'm plugging it in. Because my computer just went black, and I went, "Why is my computer not plugged in?" There we go. Anyways, I've seen him even as of late. Like he talked about his dog psychology center that he visualized, he built. He houses all kinds of animals there now. But I've seen him stand there in front of an animal and he puts his hands out, and this animal is like a wild wolf and just calms right down in front of him. But I think that's important, don't you? And where I'm going with all this, whether it's an animal or it's people, it's about the energy that we use with one another.
Animals they respond more towards physical commands versus verbal commands. And a lot of it is dog psychology, getting to know the dog as a dog and not what we're projecting them to be. You know, like the dog more like a wolf. And, you know, they do certain behaviors because it's ingrained in their DNA to do these certain behaviors. And until they learn differently, they're going to continue to do these behaviors. You know, like how do dogs figure out who's the alpha?
That's exactly the word he uses, dog psychology. He has studied animals and dogs forever, and he tries to be very respectful of people's beliefs, but he said dogs touch one another when they are displeased with something, and I almost word for word what you're saying. How do they decide, right? And all the animals understand who is the alpha and why the alpha eats first, right? And why the alpha does this, right?
And how they train their kids. Because they discipline their kids. Often people get worried because you bring a new kitten into the household and the older cats will start swatting it and being mean to it. No, they're training that cat on proper cat etiquette. And when dogs or cats are left or taken from their moms too soon, that's where a lot of the behavioral issues come in because their mom hasn't had a chance to train them.
Agreed. That's exactly what he says. And now he's brought in and he'll work. And what I love what he talks about too, is we're dealing with the animal versus then we get to finally the breed. Right. And he doesn't say it disrespectfully, but he does say, I've never seen so many neurotic animals, especially dogs. And he's tried to explain to people, like he can go into a house and sometimes a 5-pound Chihuahua is the alpha in the house over the humans, and the 150-pound, and I've seen them, Mastiff, and this little dog runs it, or the cat runs it, or the bird is the alpha, right? And it's and actually what I love what he says about it is any animal will choose to go back to balance, right? And any, if you think about human beings too, like, and again, I love animals, don't get me wrong. I know you love animals too, but I think we need to recognize them for who they are,
Yeah.
right, in our lives. They're not human beings and they don't think like human beings. Maybe you could share that a little bit with people, especially with communication with animals, like
Well,
what you got.
I know a lot of dogs are working dogs, and if they don't have a job, they get bored, they start misbehaving.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't have a um, Malinois. I can't pronounce that name, but
Malinois? Malinois?
yeah, Malinois, um, and have it as an indoor lap dog.
Mm-hmm.
That animal has lots and lots of energy, and so you've got to be able to do things with that animal
Mm-hmm.
so that they expel all that energy. Otherwise, they're going to be destructive because that's the only way they know how to communicate that something is wrong. People need to, I'm sorry.
You go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
People need to be aware of if they're getting a certain dog breed, what that dog was bred for. Was it a hunting dog? Was it a um, dog for protection?
Is it a herding breed?
A
Because a lot of
herding
people don't
breed.
understand that one. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, that dog is going to instinctively try and herd every animal in your house.
And you, because I
And you.
have a shepherd, a German shepherd, that not only is she, she would make a good protection dog, she'd make a great police dog. My dog is not motivated by food in any way, shape, or form, but give her a ball or a squeaky toy, and that's what they look for. But she herds, and she does. She herds people. She herds the cat. She herds because I'd love to get her out running and walking every single day with my back. Not always the easiest, but exactly. And when your animal's misbehaving, a lot of times it's trying to send you a message. And I love that you said that too, about the energy needs of a dog, because like you think, like when you get the husky, for example, or a malamute that has used to being out in extreme temperatures and running for miles, how does a human ever fulfill those energy needs, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for you to be consistent when you're training a dog
Mm-hmm.
so that they learn the boundaries from the very beginning, that you are the alpha. You are going to protect them. They don't need to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And it's little things like dog psychology that and I've seen it. Again, the reason why I brought up Caesar, because he's the one thing that always frustrated me with him, he keeps saying about the energy, the energy, the energy. But what I don't think he recognizes is a lot of human beings don't know what energy feels like or what the
yeah,
energy is, or projecting the energy or things like that. But
yeah,
absolutely, like you said, what is the animal bred for? Because animals have the instinct in the breed. And again, really do your homework, because I'm just going to read some of these comments, and we do have a question from Kevin too, but people are adding a few things. We got Tristan here. So hi, Tristan. Um, Hang on, something about they can lay dormant if not fed. Hang on. Let me go down a little bit lower here. Sorry, I seen some good comments here I wanted to read. So it was something about the people's animals. Oh, Heidi's saying, I love Caesar Milan. My daughter and I watch The Dog Whisperer all the time. Yeah, I've been watching. He's free on YouTube right now. Kevin saying, love the Grinch top and like the matching bottom. You are absolutely. I have a matching bottom, and I am now in full Grinch mode until Christmas. So you guys are only going to see me in Grinch stuff. Hang on. So there was something else. Oh, so Heidi Gall, that's it. Your thoughts on those animals that act half human, or I had a cat that we called he, she, dog, cat, squirrel.
um,
Do you think maybe they're tapping into their past life? Because like we said, we have, since both of us having this discussion, that some people have lived a life as a dog and then, or an animal, and then come back as a human.
I've had cats that acted more like dogs than a cat. I've
Oh,
seen
so have I. Yes.
dogs act more like a cat. So yeah, I think they are tapping into a past life, and sometimes I think they just kind of get confused. Oh, wait a minute, I'm a cat now. I can't
Yes.
do that anymore.
Yes. We've got Carrie Fast or Carrie's Compass on Instagram joining us. So hi, Carrie. Nice to see you. And then Michelle Wilfong says, after 3 months, my cat still swats at my dog. They both want to be alpha. Um, and then Vet Girl said, Maligators. Oh, you're going to have to, is that, you talking about a Malinois that acts like an alligator? You'll have to tell me what you mean by that. And then Victoria says, our Pomeranian definitely thinks she is the alpha. The one thing I do want to share with you guys that I really believe, and again, hearing this from many dog trainers, if explaining when we're dealing with canines here, some are meant to be the alpha, some are meant to be the middle, happy-go-lucky peacemakers of the pack, and some are meant to be followers. And those are the ones that, from what my research, that they are much more sensitive, right? And they're meant to follow, but like say, be the warning system for the pack if something's coming up. So when you if your dog isn't meant to be an alpha but has to take that position on, imagine how stressful and awful it is for your pet. Would you agree, Julie?
Yes, but the animal should never be the alpha. The
I
human should
agree.
be the alpha.
But it happens, and it's simple things, you guys, and I've seen it, like not letting your dog walk in ahead that you like, and I've been working with her, like just even letting my dog go out, like instead of me, no, you wait for mom and you follow mom kind of thing, right? Or holding your head up and your shoulders back and head very firm and confident, projecting that like it's energy. And it's really been mind-blowing, especially I've been watching a lot of different dog trainers. Your dog picks up on your thoughts and your emotions and all of this, right? Like if you're afraid, your dog's going to think it needs to protect you if it's in an alpha role, right?
Or practically any role. If they sense that you have fear,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to react. And even some are there for your protection.
Mm-hmm.
And when they might be overreactive to other dogs and other people because they're trying to protect their master. And
Mm-hmm.
once you talk to them and say, can you sense when she's scared?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Was she scared? No. Well, then you don't need to protect her.
Yes, I agree. And that's why I love hearing what you're saying, because again, coming from an animal communication standpoint versus somebody that works with animals, and I love that you said dog psychology. We didn't even get into cats. We could have done a whole show with cats. We're almost out of time, but I'm going to do this one last question here. Kevin's asking, do you think people might be feeding into said cords by thinking negatively, allowing it to activate, um, if you will, or do you absolutely believe these cords need to be removed? I think that's when we were talking about the cords and the feeding tubes and things like that with people.
Um, Anything that is negative or detrimental to you, yes, definitely you want to remove those. But there are some cords that are good to have, like my cord with my cat, where
Mhm.
Michelle is. Those are good cords. You don't need to, unless it's draining your energy, you don't need to cut those cords. Um, a cord to your child, you don't want to cut those cords unless, well, I'm not going to go there.
Mhm.
But like the cord to my ex, I cut that cord right away.
Mhm.
Um, but to your partner, you want that cord to your partner because you're exchanging love. Your bubbles kind of overlap, and so
Right.
you're changing energy all the time. So you yes, you have cords to those people, and those cords you don't want to break. But
Mm-hmm.
some cords that, you know, that serve their purpose at the time, but are no longer necessary, and those cords can go.
I agree 100%. This just went by so quickly, Julie. Just give me one sec. You guys don't go anywhere because coming up next is The Light Gate with Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. Julie, do you want to tell people quickly how can they sign up? And I strongly encourage it, you guys, if you have ever wanted to learn how to communicate with animals, I believe it's our birthright. Please, Julie, tell them about your course that you have coming up or anything else you do and how to get a hold of you and book with you and everything else.
Well, I've got a beginner animal communication workshop coming up December 6th and 7th. It's from noon to 3 p.m. both days. That's Eastern time. I'm probably going to do my animal chakra class again.
It was excellent. I loved it.
Because animals do have 2 extra chakras. Humans have 7 chakras. Animals have 9. So I'll tell you all about those. I'm working on a healing through the medicine wheel where I'm going to tell you how you can heal using the medicine wheel.
And I'll be taking that course. You know I will. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But that's still in development. You can reach me on my Facebook business page, which is facebook.com/J Bassett Animal Communicator, or my website for animal communication is JulieJeanneBassett.com, or for my shamanic stuff, it's whitetailshamanichealing.com. I do offer a 15-minute free consult if you aren't sure what to book or just have a random question that I might be able to answer. But I'm going to do a larger course where I teach everything about my animal healing, but that's going to be a while. There's a lot.
I'm going to sign up for it. And thank you for coming on. You guys know Julie will be back on here. And you guys, if you have some ideas too that you want to see with even show ideas, but also, things you want to ask Julie or whatever, you got ideas for this too, where I can have her on. We are booking into, I think, the end of March, but Julie usually comes on a couple times a year. And I know then she can answer different things, right, Julie? Right? If that's what people want to talk about. So you guys stay tuned next week. We have Sean Ellis from Paranormal X Wolfpack podcast coming on to talk about all his spooky paranormal things. I know he was going on a couple investigations. I don't know if it's this weekend. It must be. It might be next weekend, but I know he's going on one because I told him if you got any spooky stuff that you want to bring and share that you found an investigation, please do. Also, stay tuned because Carrie Lynn and I will be back. Sorry, last week Carrie Lynn was really sick. I'm fighting off a cold, but I will be there Thursday, I promise. So we will be there 7 p.m. I'm not sure what we're talking about yet, but it's going to be fun. And otherwise, if you guys ever want to get a hold of me, still working on the course that I'm doing with Leanne Clark. So that is coming. It's probably going to be after Christmas, but we get together every Wednesday to work on that. So, but otherwise, I do psychic mediumship. I do crystal Reiki, energy healing, working with your chakras, your auras. I also do energy healing. I do teaching and mentoring. So you can get a hold of me on facebook.com/AngelRock or any of the social media platforms you can think of. I have a profile there. So I want to thank you all for being here. Hi, Lisa Martinella. I just seen you pop in there. Thank you. And stay tuned for Dolly and Preston coming up next, you guys. Much love and light. And thank you, Julie, for being here.